GC panel that buying mobile phones to actually gather data about the way students use them was actually a research activity, a great deal of fun and games. And what we focused on, though, was to change the content of the curriculum so that, and particularly the assessment, to deal with the elephant in the room and try and provide assessment that was more closely aligned with the kinds of outcomes that we wanted to achieve. So basically what we did was we looked at the context. We know about that, lots and lots of wireless, free things. We looked at the intent and what we're trying to achieve. Our learners are very, very diverse, and I'll say more about that. And then we decided to make this very strongly activity-based, so the students would be heavily involved, and also include lots and lots of mechanisms for feedback that made use of all the kinds of environments that were available to us in the teaching and learning environment. What we found very useful as we developed the project was thinking about Diana Laurelard's conversational model and thinking about how we could improve the conversations that occur. Not just conversations in class, but conversations between the students about the content and focused on the concepts and conceptions that are part and parcel of a particular course that we decided to work with. We also were very, very interested in how we could have conversations about the artifacts and use the technology to support those conversations. And I think we have, to some degree, succeeded in doing that quite well, as you will see. So for those people not particularly familiar with Diana Laurelard's conversational model, basically this diagram shows you the relationships between the teacher's conceptual knowledge up at the top left and the learner's conceptual knowledge top right. Now, what impacts on this very significantly are the teacher's conceptions of learning design, and I'm very fortunate to be working with a technologically literate and also very innovative teacher who runs the language learning classes. So we were able to design a series of activities and also incorporate processes that allowed reflection to occur, and more importantly, made that reflective process obvious to students in the group. So the things we've been using are things like, we've been using tweeting a lot. We haven't used blogging much, but we've also used the face-to-face environment a lot. We provided a reflective space on the right-hand side in the form of an e-portfolio. And that's where a lot of our data that's created, or what are our artifacts that our student created, actually are displayed within an e-portfolio. Then we really have focused on what the students do. And so the classes, the face-to-face classes and the activities afterwards tend to be very, very student active. And we've done a lot of sharing using the mobile web. So are there any questions from any of the people out there? We've now got 16, which is very nice, on what the actual context was, the technology context, the curriculum context, and the student context. Aha.
And this is Jeff here, just reminding people, if you would like to talk, just, yes, click the little hand and then we'll get to you. Okay, so, yep, chat.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, thanks. Just wondering if some of the penetration rates you mentioned there, was it 80% of people with smartphones or whatever, if you know much about the demographics linked to those figures and whether there are particular types of people who are more likely to have a smartphone or particular types of people who are less likely to have a mobile.
That's a really excellent question. Thank you very much. Who's speaking, please?
This is Chad Hable from the University of Adelaide.
Hi, Chad. No, it's an excellent question. Sorry, I obviously didn't make that clear. The demographics you saw on the smartphone ownership are the incoming first-year university students. We survey all the students coming in each year, and therefore we've got some longitudinal data on the ownership of these devices by students. So that ownership reflects the incoming first-year university students, and we really haven't done sort of cross-sectorial or outside the university kinds of surveys. So I hope that answers that question.
Yes, it does. Thanks.
Okay, so you can see pretty much what we focused on. The photograph in the slide, by the way, comes from an earlier study that I did using PDAs and mobile phones, and the students were actually out in the community, and believe it or not, they were doing traffic counts to look at social geography. So anyway, so one of the things we selected for this particular project, and you'll see it in here, I think, I'll get this right, is the social networking site Mahara. And I hope people are familiar with it. Let me have a look. I heard a ding. Okay. And for those people not familiar with Mahara, it's an open source e-portfolio system that comes out of New Zealand, and you'll see an exemplar of it shortly. So we also focused on just-in-time support. We know our students well, and just-in-time support, believe me, is a very good thing. And so we made considerable use of the Web2 cloud applications. So this is part of a very nice graphic created by our graphic artist in terms of what we do.
Hi, David. Sorry to interrupt.
By all means.
I just noticed Mike had his hand up, and I wondered whether it was a question you might want to ask about one of the slides you already had up.
Sure. Go for it, Mike. Mike?
Mike, you need to, if you want to speak, yes, just put your finger on the control button.
Hello? You can type it if you like.
Yes, please just go ahead.
I must admit I can't hear you, Mike.
Actually, David, I wonder if you just keep going, and Mike, if you could actually just type in the question you had, if that's okay.
Sure. Okay, so we did a bit of clever design, and we chose iPhones for all sorts of reasons. One thing, I'll get to that in a moment. The obvious thing, of course, is that students consider them incredibly sexy. You know, it's the thing to have. And there's an amazing process here in Hong Kong of cycling iPhones. And they sell faster than the proverbial, sliced bread. So, and in fact, there's a shortage of them at the moment because the China market's just opened up and you can't buy them in Hong Kong at the moment. So basically, what we did was we focused on the concept of having, student activity, which is the top left up here, and we looked at the use of the mobile devices to capture the evidence in the process, and then the evidence could be uploaded to a variety of platforms, and we used YouTube extensively. And then we used the ePortfolio tool to present the evidence, and I'll show you that in a moment. So Mahara, this is a few details about it for those people who have not come across it before. And it's a pretty robust platform. It's very tightly integrated with Moodle, particularly the latest version. And I also know that Blackboard and their version of 9.1, they also have single sign-on to Mahara, but because, well, it's a better portfolio system. So this is our Mahara site. So let's try and see if I can switch out of this slide 25 and show you our portfolio system and what we actually did with the students. And then I'll talk a little bit about the final results. So just excuse me for one moment, and I'll see if I can set this up.
Any comments, they can do that as well.
How long you've been using the Mahara system up there?
I personally have been using it for about, gosh, nearly, I must have been in there at version 0.8 or something. I was using it for about 2 or 3 years at Hong Kong U, so maybe 4 years, I think. I discovered it very early on.
That is a long time. And you host the portfolio yourself there?
Yes, we do. And what we've done is, can people see the link I have here? At the moment, it should show up in the window. Can I get some feedback, please? Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes,
people are putting tips
well.
up.
Oh, okay, good. Because I actually don't get to see it. All I can see is a red line around the window. So this is our portfolio site. We use this, we rolled this out this year to every single incoming first-year student, because they all have to study English. When they come to the university, it's mandatory. And this is our customization. We've just prettied it up and put our colors into it, and we've created some nice graphics you can see there to sort of remind students that the whole idea is that they're meant to provide evidence of outcomes of what their learning has actually been. But the bit I'm going to focus on today is the LCE 202 and the views that are being created here. So what we're looking at the moment is, where does all this mobile content that's been created by the students during the activities, where does it all end up? The answer is it all ends up here, because we need a place for the reflection and the peer processes to actually become visible, rather than just simple conversations that are made and in a room and then go away, and they are not available for future analysis and reflection. So let me show you a few of the screens here. I'll keep an eye on the text box. If you've got anything specific, just let me know. So we capture what the teacher does, and this screen just simply shows some of the interview processes that we've been doing, some of the resources that we've made available for our students. I'm hoping that's scrolling okay. So you can see the face-to-face classroom sitting in there. We've got all the sessions. And of course, what the students do is they download these when they're preparing for their sessions or preparing for their assessment. And they can download these videos from YouTube or play them directly through the wireless network to actually practice for what they have to do. The second part of what we're doing is that one of the things that's very important in this particular course, and I'm just loading it up now, is that the students are supposed to be learning how to do presentations. And we thought one of the most powerful ways to do that was for the students to see a chronological process where they see their first presentation, their second presentation, and then their final presentation. So they get opportunities to actually see the changes over time and reflect on those processes.